There are days in IT that stay with you long after the job's finished. Many years I was working manufacturing, industrial plants, warehouses, those kind of locations. And it would be routine work until it wasn't. One day I was asked to go up on a roof and everything changed. I was asked to go to a customer that was in Solihull in Birmingham. They ran Windows NT, 2 servers and a clustered database. They're a manufacturing business. And I remember going there with my colleague Neil one day. We had to do some physical cabling infrastructure install. And it was to run a cable from one end of the warehouse to the other end in order they could put a computer into the back end of the warehouse with a barcode scanner on it. Neil and I went out from the office into the warehouse space. This was late 1990s. Very little health and safety. I wasn't asked to put steel toe caps on. I wasn't asked for eye protection or a high-vis jacket. I was just out in what I wore to work, which was a shirt, almost tie and trousers, because I was going along to help with the IT side of thing. I wasn't expected to do the physical installation. And as we were out in the warehouse, we worked out that where the cable went from A to B, I was going to need to get on top of a porter cabin to help out while Neil was running the cable. We went back into the office and started the run from the back of the cabinet up through the ceiling tiles and across into the warehouse. And as we were dragging the reel across, you will place a box of cable back at the start and then you will pull the run through. So we were feeding the run through and we're in the warehouse environment, and Neil says to me, you need to get on top of this porter cabin and then we can sort of pull it across from the porter cabin and I'll grab it at the other end, which I was happy to do. We grabbed some step ladders and I positioned them on the side and climbed myself up on to the top of the porter cabin. As I climbed up onto the top, I was still kind of crouched down because the top of it was messy and mucky and absolutely filthy. And I was looking to grab the cable from Neil, so I was crouched down. And at that moment in time, I can remember this voice just screaming, "Stop! Don't move!" And a guy came in from the side, older guy, and just shouted at me, "Do not move. Climb back down and do not raise your head or move." And I was quite sort of taken aback. I was only about 24 years old. I climbed down the ladder and he was really angry right up in my face. "Who told you you could climb up on top of there? Who gave you permission to go up there? Do you know what you were doing?" I was like, "No, we were told we're here to run a cable from here to here. We were told we can do what we need to do in the warehouse to get it done." And the guy said to me, he said, "Can you see that up there?" And I looked up to see, and I could see that across the whole top of the warehouse, they had a big crane that ran across the top of the warehouse. And he said, "That is a 10,000 volt live rail. And if you'd have stood up and raised your arms, you would have been in distance of arcing and you would have died instantly." That was pretty shocking to know that that's what was up there and how close I came to not being around. It's pretty scary at times to realize that a second's misjudgment could result in the end of your life. I had no idea there was a live rail in there. I was really quite angry and upset about it, as was Neil. We were removed from the shop floor immediately by the workshop supervisor who'd come out to us. And our contact that we dealt with there, we went to see him and he was all sheepish about it. "Oh, I didn't know." And the workshop supervisor was really angry at him too and called in his manager. Neil and I left site and went back to the office to see our managing director about it. And after that point in time, we then had to sign in every time we visited that site. You had to have a high-vis jacket, you had to have eye protection, you had to have a hard hat, and you had to have safety boots, and you had to have what everybody would have now, which was the statement of works and the proposal of how you were going to do the work safely on site, signed off before you were allowed to do it, which is exactly how it should be. And I look back on those days now and I think it was bloody lucky at times that I got through some of the stuff that I got through. That could have ended my life in a horrific way. Electrocuted to death, basically, you just catch fire, fall down. Those videos exist and they're pretty awful when you see them. And that nearly happened to me. It was one of the scarier days in my career. And this channel, of course, features the lighter-hearted aspects of what I've done, the troubleshooting, the problem solving, those aspects of things. But sometimes when you work in IT, you can get put in the most dangerous of situations.